many people will know this feeling. You want to make your own video game, but you have a job, family, not much free time, and you know nothing about programming or art. I was in the same position, so I just said, you know what? I will just make a physical card game instead. It's basically like programming, but on paper. My name is NoExperience, and first of all, before we start, I need to tell you what makes my game so different. It's a turn-based dungeon crawler physical card game. So basically, if you're into themes like Berserk, Fear and Hunger, Wizardry or Record of Lodoss War, you will most probably like my game too, because as you might have noticed, the themes will be for a very mature audience, and I want to kind of oppose this very family-friendly styles of games in today's time, because I'm actually kind of fed up with them. It's not like I don't play games like that, but I feel like in the past years there is an absence in mature themes, and nothing takes itself serious anymore, and I don't like that. Everything is trying to be funny and cartoony and stuff. It's not even just games, this is happening in every section in media right now. Compare the styles of beloved animes, games like Dragon Ball and One Piece or Detective Conan. The old styles are much more mature. I know that this has also to do with like old technology and digital drawings, costs and stuff, but I'll probably talk about this in detail in one of my next videos, because I think this deserves a video on its own. Even if there are reasons why these changes are happening, I just can't but miss the old styles in gaming and anime. And it's not only the style and how it looks, but the themes being mentioned in those media too. Look at games like Magic and Yu-Gi-Oh! The change in style over the years is recognizable, and it is to be more appealing to a lot of audiences and thus to make more money. But because of that reason, everything is losing their identity, and I want to change that with my game. I hate if an IP is not taking itself and the world it's set in seriously, and I will not be a part of that. Quality is declining and quantity is increasing because most people pay for it anyway. Most people don't care about quality, so they spend their money on slop to get a short dopamine hit from that. Look at most of the mobile games right now. Gachas or pay-to-win elements everywhere, microtransactions. Businessmen are running the gaming world nowadays, and their only aim is money. I care a lot about my characters, the story and its world. That's why I made the choice to do this whole project without any publishers. Let me just make something clear real quick. I'm listening to this again right now while editing, and it sounds really negative. I used words like everything and all and generalized a bit, but what I'm actually trying to say here is that gaming and anime were niche and there aren't anymore. And like everything that is mainstream, the themes become simpler and the rules of what you can show and say in that media are getting stricter. There is still a lot of things I like. I'm still playing Magic and I'm still watching some new anime, but it's getting less. I'm just happy that in the gaming industry we have a lot of indie game developers. So I'm not hating on all of mainstream media, just saying that I like the vibe of old gaming and anime more. And to all the people who think it's nostalgia, it's not, because most of the things I love were made before I was born and I experienced them way later in life. I kind of drifted apart from what I actually wanted to say, but Let me tell you about publishers now that I mentioned them. There is a lot to say about the previous topic, and I will do that in another video too. Then I can go more into detail and also talk about AI and stuff and why indie devs are so important right now. But as I said, let's talk about publishers now, and this is super important if you want to make a game. Not having a publisher means doing everything by yourself and holding all the responsibility on your own. You need to invest in your project yourself first, and I'm not saying only time, like you have to invest money into it first and learn everything about how you're gonna do the art and designs and printing, delivery, and how to afford all of this in general as well. It's a lot tougher than having a publisher, but for me, having a publisher wasn't an option, because they have too much control over your project. What do I mean by that? Well, first of all, you need to show them a prototype and you need to convince them that it has potential, and I already have my problems with this because I actually doubt that they are experts in game design and know what's going to work or not, or when you have a niche product like myself, obviously it will not appeal to most of the people. Also, if you have something innovative, they will probably not like it. Even this first step can be a long process. But let's say they did accept it. How does it continue? Again, this whole process, like the whole thing, can take up to 4 years until everything is set. Secondly, even if your games reaches the shelves, you only gain about 7% of the profit your game makes. That's why a lot of people who want to live as board game designers, they just mass produce ideas and prototypes for board games and pitch them all to publishers and just hope one of them takes off, like Monopoly or Catan. I'm not saying there is anything wrong with this, but this is just completely against my nature. I am carefully crafting my game with a purpose in mind. I want to tell a story with my mechanics, and the publisher can and will water all of this down. They will soften my betrayal mechanics, they will make my brutal and hopeless world more bearable, but I want it to be something deeper than your standard card and board game. And I must say I'm very proud of it so far. So my biggest reason why I won't go for a publisher is that you basically sell all your rights to the product to them. If they think other artwork is more suitable, or they want it more family friendly, or any other reason, they can change that the way they like. And you don't even have any rights to anything. And that is a massive problem for me because, as I have mentioned, I have a vision how things should look and be told to the player, how the mechanics have to work in order to tell my story. I basically need 100% control over the project in order to make something meaningful. So it wasn't even a choice for me. Also, I don't think the brutal and mature world my game is set in would be accepted even if I wanted a publisher. Also, my artist is amazing and understands my vision very well, and he seems to create artwork right out of my mind. Like, sometimes he just knows what I'm going for. And another reason, I'm not going to explain this in detail, but this is just my first game in this world. So all the next games I'm gonna make, they be all part of this big world, this SoulBreaker world. So now I need to tell you what SoulBreaker is even about. Basically what you do in my game is you delve into this dungeon with up to 3 other people and try to come as far as possible without dying, obviously, and maybe even reaching the demon lord. You start off weak and get stronger from run to run. The crazy part about this is that every floor has its own deck and it's mixed, so every time you play a run, it's a completely new experience. Depending on what kind of encounters happen first, future encounters change. So very crazy stuff can happen. Let me give you a very basic example. Imagine you are in floor 2 and you encounter this dark priest. You decide to fight him and kill him. Then later on in floor 3, you encounter these other priests who look just like him, and they're next to a summoning circle and they are waiting for the last priest to come, like lore-wise. But because you have killed this guy before, you just fight them normally. But if you hadn't killed that dark priest from floor 2, he would be basically there too, lore-wise, summoning with the other priests, and they summon a lesser demon all together, and now you have to fight that demon. So it's a much harder fight. But if you saved a companion before that is now following you and helping you out, you could also sacrifice him to escape that demon. But in order to save one of those companions, you have to do some other stuff, and so on and so on. There's also a lot of events that create dilemma between the players themselves, and where people, like someone has to volunteer for some debuff or something, but he gets a much harder run than stuff like this. I will show you all later on. But as you can see, all these events kind of influence each other, and this is just like the tip of the iceberg. There's crazy stuff like which influence each other, influence future encounters and other events. And this also tells a story, like all of these people in the dungeon, all these NPCs and creatures and events, they're all connected to a bigger story. And that's why this dungeon feels so alive while playing it. And now you probably ask yourself, why wouldn't I kill the priest in floor 2 in the first place and risk fighting against the demon? That is because you won't see every card in every floor. Like there's enough cards that you won't see all of them. You can always explore more than you need to fight that one specific monster on that floor or find that one specific item or event. But the longer you stay on a floor, the harder it gets. I have to explain this in another video. Sorry, this is like the third time I'm saying this, but trust me, it gets too deep. And maybe this sounds very complicated and hard to do in a board game. But trust me, my friends, like not just my friends, a lot of people played that game so many times. And I must admit, it took some time until it worked without being complicating or overwhelming for the player. But now it works so well. And it looks so simple, but the mechanics are deep themselves. Like for the player, it's simple, but the mechanics go so much deeper. I'm very happy to have friends who test my game and are very highly critical with it too. That is one of the biggest problems a solo dev will have, finding people to test their game, and those people must be completely honest too. Like, yeah, if they're not honest, it's actually hurting the game more than it helps. To get back to the game, the battles work more or less like a normal turn-based RPG like Pokemon or Final Fantasy. The difference being, in my game, different types have different weaknesses, and according to what weaknesses you attack, the monster adapts. This is cool because it can turn into a dilemma where you think, okay, do I attack his weakness now in order to not getting attacked by him myself? But then he will attack one of my friends, for example, with double his attack and things like this. Of course, this is just an example and I kept it simple, and this will be also in another video, as I said 3 times before, to show you more detailed stuff about my game. Another key aspect of my game is that in free-for-all, normally you play free-for-all after you beat the story mode with your friends, there is a betraying mechanic. You can always be betrayed by each other, so you need to constantly watch out. And you can imagine it like a Mario Party game, but as a dark and gritty dungeon crawler. Obviously it is still very different, but just to give you an idea how it works. I don't know how long this video is getting so far, but if you're still here, I want to say thank you very, very much. As someone who's new to this whole thing, I need all the help I can get, and I'm happy that this was interesting to you so far, apparently, because you watched it until now. And I just realized I didn't even talk about the most important part yet. The title. I nearly forgot. So what did I spend 5k on? Obviously, my artworks cost a lot of money. I've already spent over 2000 in artworks. I'm actually working 2 jobs. I have a full-time job and I have a part-time job, and my part-time job is just for my game. Like, I'm spending all my money from my part-time job just for this game, and the artworks are around $100 for each artwork. Obviously it changes depending on the art, but yeah. I have only one artist right now, and even if I wanted to, I couldn't afford another one because of money. And I've spent the other 3k to book a booth at the Essen board game fair, and I'm really excited about this. It's called SPIEL Essen. It's an amazing international board game fair in Germany, and it's only 6 months away in October. So yeah, I need to really focus now and get this game ready to present my game in its best state possible. 3000 sounds like a lot, but I'm very optimistic that this will help me significantly, since visiting it myself and seeing a lot of indie game devs there too. A lot of big companies, but there are some indie game devs too. Think about this. In 4 days, like the fair goes 4 days, it starts on Thursday and it ends on Sunday. Over 220,000 people visited it last October. So I might convince 1 or 2 people to check my game out. I guess that's enough for today. This was a very general topic, like an overview, but in the future it will be a little different. Thank you very much again if you watched till the end. I would be so happy about any kind of support. Even if you just leave a comment, that would mean a lot to me. So bye.